My number one memory is always, I have yet to been able to top this, was the Thursday night. It was the first season. It was our Thursday night game against Clemson. We played the Temptations by far. And that close second was the win against Florida State in 2005. But that very first game, it was a Thursday. When you're at UVA, you don't get a lot of night games. It was a Thursday night game. We won. I think it was when people didn't initially notice the marching band. I remember we had a couple people that would notice, and that was the positive attention we got. But it really kicked up a notch when we had that halftime show. It's because people recognized the Temptations. We played great. The Temptations sounded great. The football team won. It was just such an awesome atmosphere. It was a full stadium. The lights were on, and people were singing in the stands with the band and with the Temptations. It's something that'll never ever go away. And I think that was really represented a shift for for Charlottesville and for the fans of UVA. This band's actually pretty legit. Anytime you were in Scott Stadium was a lot of fun, just because that's sort of the preview to what it's going to look like on the field. I think skit night was always a lot of fun too, because that's where you get to see the different personalities of the sections. What section is maybe the lazy section, or which section is the most vain, or which section is the most hyper. It was always a lot of fun, because I think the same way the drum majors had to figure out their own chemistry, the sections also had to do that on a much larger scale. So they had it usually figured out by skit night, and those were always so much fun, and they were so funny, and they were so true. And of course, when you're a drum major on the outside looking in, maybe it's even funnier, just because you don't know any of their inside jokes. So it's like watching a comedy for the first time. When you're a drum major, you very rarely sleep during band camp, more than 4 or 5 hours. I know people typically will cut loose that last night of band camp. I would always make a point of going to bed, always. I don't know, I guess it was an early sign of aging, but I think I always avoided that stuff the last night. I didn't say I didn't avoid it in college, but that last night was just, you're overcome with exhaustion. It was usually a week of band camp or more, and it's just, you're exhausted. I can't speak for anybody else on the student leadership team, but I know me in particular, I was fried by the end. We went to 2 bowl games when I was there. We went to the MPC Computers Bowl in Boise. I mean, I don't really want to say marching on blue turf was my favorite memory, just because it wasn't, especially because we lost. But I really enjoyed the Music City Bowl. Nashville was a great town, and there was a lot for the band to do. There was a lot to keep us busy. Whereas Boise, there wasn't as much to do during your copious amounts of downtime. I don't know. I guess Nashville was just a lot of fun. Of course, my favorite bowl memory was when the UVA band beat the Minnesota band in the Battle of the Bands. I mean, who knows why we won it or how we won it. Maybe we just had a bigger crowd. Maybe we sounded better, but it was kind of, you've got an old school Big Ten band facing off against a band that had been around less than 5 years, very different styles of playing, and according to the local celebrity DJ, we won. I think that was pretty neat. I hosted the very first band party. Very first band party was in Lambeth. It was the first year of the marching band. It was my second year of college. David Brown and I were living in Lambeth, and it wasn't with band students. There were 4 other non-band kids there, and it was after the Virginia Tech game, and we hosted the first band party there. Scared the heck out of the rest of our roommates, because all of a sudden 30 or 40 people showed up. And again, Lambeth's pretty small, but it was as close as we got to the very first ever band party. I don't think there were really any others hosted. I know the sections kind of did their own thing, but it was the first time there was actually a gathering of band kids in a real social setting. Well, I suppose Dave Knight did a couple at his place on Preston before, but that was some of the basketball kids, the hoops band kids that just happened to be playing at the time. But the first real marching band season party was at my place at Lambeth, and it's exactly what you think of. It was cramped, it was gross, but it was a lot of fun. We didn't have any of the band houses like they do now, Shamrock or in the other places. I don't even know how many there are now. I don't know if people knew or not. I never ever drank the night before a game. Again, this goes back. I told you earlier. I had nightmares about being late for pregame rehearsals. I never drank on Friday nights before a game, ever. I was deathly afraid of being late. Again, when you're at the top, you have further to fall, but and in probably a very public way. But I never ever drank the night before a game, and it was totally out of fear, totally out of the what ifs. I'd probably do it the same way, just to be on the safe side. There were a couple of perks to being a drum major. Actually, the story I was told was I remember getting out of a fire code ticket violation because I think you could only have so many posters up in your room before it became a fire hazard, and I got called on it. And the fire marshal recognized me from the band and ripped up the ticket. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I think it was NCAA 2010. I showed up in one of the menus looking pretty badass for a drum major, but kind of looking off to the side. I think they just pulled my picture off of a stock photo pile or something. I have no idea. I didn't get a check in the mail or anything, but I just remember getting a phone call from somebody, and they sent me a screen capture of it on their phone. So I've got that, but I don't think I actually own. I never went and bought the game. I don't think I had an Xbox at the time. So